Hey everyone, welcome to your Vinyasa practice. So before we get started, a couple of suggestions. Props are always welcome. You're always welcome to have your favorite props for your Vinyasa, but I think it'd be helpful today to have something that's like a block, which could be a book or a folded over blanket. They end up being about the same size when you fold it up. And then a blanket itself. So maybe you have two blankets if you don't have a block or a book handy. So take a minute to grab those two things if you want, optional. And we'll start out on our backs with our knees bent and our feet planted. We're going to explore some rotation of the shoulders today, internal and external rotation, and just notice how that feels in the body, how it translates to the shoulders.
All right, so let's get settled into the back. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Let the back of the head be heavy. And you can take your hands to your low belly here. Just make this connection for a few moments. Body and breath. If you really feel strongly about stretching your legs out long, feel free, but otherwise keep your feet planted and your knees bent. And let your knees draw in towards one another. Just take a few breaths here to settle, to arrive, to land onto your back, onto your mat. With your hands are resting on the belly, you can feel that very tangible feedback of breathing into the belly. You might notice that expansion, the hands filling up, and then the relaxation or the softening as the hands or the belly relaxes back into the spine. Just a couple more times like that. Tuning in. So the next breath in, we'll stretch the arms up towards the ceiling. Let your palms face each other. And just play with rotating the hands out, away from one another. Backs of the hands are towards one another. We would call this internal rotation. And then let the palms face one another again. So internal rotation, the back of the hands are facing one another, palms are facing outward. It's like your humerus bone is rolling in towards your clavicle, your chest. And then rotating out. Just find that rotation, and instead of thinking about rotating through the shoulders, or instead of thinking about this action initiating from the hands, can you think about rotating from your humerus bone? So that upper arm bone is causing this motion of the hands. Now we'll bend our elbows, grab your opposite elbows. We're going to take our knees off to the left and drag your elbows across your chest towards your right. So if this is confusing at all, you can take a peek at me. Inhale back through center, and then exhale, knees off to the right, elbows across the chest towards your left. A couple times like that. Big breath in through center, exhale off to the opposite side. Just continue. You might sync your breath to your movement. And one more time in each direction. So we'll come back through center, release the arms down alongside the body. Pick up your right leg and then cross that right leg all the way across your left thigh, like you're sitting cross-legged in a chair. And just squeeze your shins in close to one another. Just kind of like Garudasana legs, but we're not wrapping at the ankle. We're just crossing the legs. And then we'll bring our fingertips to the back of the head. Keep the elbows wide. Take a breath in here just to lengthen out on your back. And a breath out to bring the knees into the chest and the forehead up towards the knee. And a big breath in, lengthen out, let the shoulders draw down towards the mat, back of the head rest. And we'll try that 3 times. So exhale, pull everything in, forehead towards the knees. And breathing in, lengthen out on your back. Twice more. Okay, so the next time you breathe in, hug just your knees towards your chest. You'll keep the legs crossed. Now let your feet move away towards one another and reach your hands up for somewhere along maybe the shin bone or maybe the ankles or maybe even the tops of the feet. So generally, the closer you get to your feet, the more intense this will be around the hips, hip flexors, IT band, might even feel a little sensation in the glute. Just depending on your body, where you're maybe most tight. Generally speaking, the thigh that's closest to you is getting most sensation. So these are Gomukhasana legs or cow face legs. We're just lying down on our back. Take 2 deep breaths here. One more big breath in. Big breath out. So release the legs, uncross. And then bend your knees, plant your feet. Arms down alongside the body. Press down into your feet, lift your hips up. Exhale, lower everything back to the mat. One more time, that dynamic movement with the bridge. Press down through the feet, lift the hips up. And then exhale, lower. Okay, so second side, inhale, left leg, reach that up, and then cross that left leg all the way on top of the right thigh. Garudasana or half Garudasana legs, because we're not wrapping at the ankle, we're just squeezing the shins in towards one another. Fingertips to the back of the head, just lightly there, elbows wide. Breath in on your back. Breath out, hug the knees into the chest, forehead towards the knees. Continue, inhaling and exhaling. 3 more times on your own. Find your own cadence, your own range of motion. Breath to movement. And let your shoulders and your head come back to the mat. Reach your hands up for maybe the shin bones, maybe the ankle bones, maybe even the feet. You can pull your feet apart if the body allows, if the hips allow. Right? And keep hugging the knees in towards the chest if possible. Keep relaxing the back of the head and the shoulders. Take some deep belly breath here and notice how this feels on your second side. For 3, for 2, last one. Let's unwind the legs, grab a hold of the backs of the knees, and then pull the knees wide. So it's like you're in Happy Baby, but you're holding onto the backs of the knees instead of the feet. Well, basically you are in Happy Baby, just a different grip. So from here, we're going to start to rock the length of the spine up towards the tailbone, keeping your feet wide. You might plant them there, and then you can roll all the way onto the back. Maybe the feet reach up and overhead if that feels okay on the neck and shoulders. Continue with this rock a few times. One more time all the way back. And then when you come forward, we'll range ourselves into Malasana. You can use your hands to get there. And so if the body's feeling a little stiff, like if the heels are not in contact with the mat, you can take your blanket or your towel and fold it underneath the heels. It usually helps stabilize a little bit here. So in Malasana, this is our yogi squat. Our heel bones are kind of moving in towards one another and our toes are kind of moving away from one another. You can take your upper arm bones to the inner edges of the knees. You can bring your hands together at the heart. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. So we'll add a little flow to this. We'll see if we can inhale, press down through the feet, stand up nice and tall. Reach the arms up towards the ceiling. And then on your exhale, bend the knees, sink right back into Mulasana. Let's try that twice more with the breath. Press down through the feet. Big breath in, stand all the way up. You want a little bit more challenge, you can interlace your hands behind the head. You're making this little cradle for the back of the head. And you can keep your elbows kind of wide, like a little V shape. As you sit down, see if you can keep the spine tall. So it's a little bit more challenging. Press down through the feet, lift up. And then exhale, sit back down one more time. We're going to pause here in Mulasana. I'm going to give you the option to do one more little exploratory movement, and I'll turn to face you. So this is where maybe a block or an extra blanket comes in handy. You could place that underneath your sits bones so that you have support. You can sit here on your block. You can do this without the block. What we're going to do is we're just going to play with rotation, internal, external rotation of the hip bone, right? So the femur bone. So rolling that right knee in and then rolling that right knee out. Just rolling it in and out. Same thing we did with the arm bones, internal, external rotation in your Mulasana squat. One more time in and out. And then we'll change sides. So you're just exploring internal rotation, left knee in, external rotation, left knee out. So it doesn't need to be a big movement. It can be really small. Everybody has their own range of motion. We have our own configurations in our hip sockets. It's okay if it doesn't look exactly like mine. One more time, rotate in and rotate out. All right, we'll come back through center Mulasana. Press down, stand up nice and tall. You can move your props out of the way if they're still there. And we'll add on to our Vinyasa. Moving the weight into the left foot, bend the right knee, and then place the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Sit a little bit into your hips, bend a little bit into your left knee. Maybe your hands are at your heart. We're going to move in and out of that shape. So inhale, stand up nice and tall, half Tadasana, right knee lifted. Exhale, sit down a little bit, bend that left knee, ankle to thigh. In and out, standing up. And exhale, sitting back, placing the ankle. Try that twice more. Just warming up the stabilizer joints, ligaments, tendons, muscles that support these joints. One more time to sit. Big breath in, stand up tall, right knee lifts, and then extend the right foot back behind you. Plant the sole of the right foot. It's like you have Trikonasana legs or Virabhadrasana 1 legs. Your right foot's angled out about 45 degrees, and now we're going to bend that left knee. Sweep the arms up. You might find that little cradle again with your hands at the back of the head. And this time we'll play with that rotation of the arm bones. So inhale, spread the elbows wide. You're kind of externally rotating the shoulders and the scapula squeezing in towards the spine. And now exhale, we'll kind of curl the chin into the chest, elbows come towards one another. Just a few times like that. Inhale, open up. And exhale, elbows towards one another. Twice more with your own breath. Stay strong through the legs, still in Warrior 2. Now release your arms, just shake it out. Press that left leg straight. An option to take the arms back behind you. Interlace the fingers to the webbing if that's possible. Otherwise, just grab your towel or your blanket, pull it apart behind you. You can also just continue to reach through the arms. We're going to hinge forward at the hips here. Keep the back nice and flat, staying plugged into the feet. Gazing down at that left big toe for 3, for 2, Last one. And then we'll bring the hands down, frame out the left foot, little bend in your left knee, lift your right heel up. You're in a low lunge. Step the left foot back to meet the right foot. Pause in high plank. Reach the heel bones back and the crown of the head forward. Press down through your hands, slightly round the upper back. Stay active and engaged through the arms. Big breath in here. And breath out, lowering all the way onto the belly with or without the use of the knees. Palms alongside the floating ribs. Squeeze your shoulders down your back. Press down through the tops of your feet. Dynamic low cobra on your inhale. Press the floor away. On your exhale, lower the chest and let the forehead touch the mat. 3 times like that. Press the floor away, lift up. And exhale, lower, let the forehead touch. Twice more. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Begin to make your way back to downward facing dog. You can use the support of your hands and knees. You could press right up to high plank. However you like to get to down dog, make your way there. And then in your first down dog, let it be a little exploratory. Bend the knees right and left. Maybe you shake the head out. Maybe you play with that slight external rotation or even internal rotation of the hands in your down dog. Notice how that feels. And 3 more breaths here in your down dog. Last breath. Lift the heels up, slight bend through the knees. Make your way to the top of your mat. Uttanasana, forward fold. Relax your head, let it be heavy. Be generous with the back body. Always feel free to bend the knees here. Okay, adding on fingertips to shins. Lengthen the heart forward. Nice flat back. Navel hugs up into the spine. Maybe the hands gather together at the heart. Press down through your feet. Stand up nice and tall. Reach the arms forward and up. Make that little cradle at the back of the head. Toes turn out wide. Heel bone slightly in. See if you can sit into Malasana from here. Okay, Malasana has varying degrees of depth, right? So hips can stay high or hips can lower. Breath in, breath out. See if you can press down through your feet and stand right back up into Tadasana. Reach the arms up. Exhale the hands to the waist. Bring those feet back underneath the hips. Shift the weight into the right foot. Lift the left knee. One-legged Tadasana. We'll move in and out of like a figure 4 shape. So left ankle is going to place on top of the right thigh. Bend the knees, sink the hips. Inhale, standing back up. Ardha Tadasana, half Tadasana. In and out with the breath. It's okay if you lose the balance. It's part of teaching the muscles around the joints to stabilize, to fire, to turn on. Okay, one more time. Standing tall, lifting that left knee, and then exhaling back into your figure 4. Inhale, press that right leg straight, lift that left knee up, and then exhale, send the left foot back behind you, and find those footprints, that blueprint of Trikonasana legs or Warrior 1 legs are very similar. Left foot about 45 degrees. We're bending that right knee. Right toes are pointing straight forward. Sweep the arms up. Maybe you explore interlacing the opposite way, right? So opposite thumb might be on top now. Make that little cradle for the back of the head, elbows wide, deep breath in. On your breath out, elbows come in towards one another, chin kind of tucks in towards the chest. So we're seeing about mobilizing scapula, upper back, neck and shoulders. A couple more times on your own. Stay connected to your feet, to the strength of your legs. Release the arms. You can roll out the shoulders, press your right leg straight. Sweep your arms back behind you. You might find, again, the opposite interlace of the fingers. You might grab your strap, your blanket, your towel. You can just reach back through the hands. You don't have to bind all. We'll hinge forward at the hips, lengthening out through the spine. So you're pausing at about halfway. So you're parallel, your torso is parallel with the floor. Breathe in here. Keep the shoulders reaching away from the ears. Nice long neck. Breathing out, gazing down at that right big toe. 2 straight legs, 2 strong, rooted feet. Good. We'll start to release the hands. Frame out that right foot, lift your left heel, step your way into high plank, and pause in your high plank. Breath in. Breath out. Shift forward, lower to the belly with or without the knees. This time we'll set up for Sphinx Pose. We'll walk the elbows forward, interlace your fingers to the webbing. You're creating this triangle with the arm bones and the hands. So elbows are right underneath the shoulders, heart's pulling forward, deep breath in here, press down through the pubic bone. On your breath out, option to add on, you can curl your toes under, you can lift your hips up, you can lift your knees up, you can lengthen out into forearm plank. Heel bones back, crown of the head forward, just like you would in high plank. Option to stay right here or lift the hips up. Walk the feet forward. Feel the shoulders start to shift over the elbows. Full breath in. On your breath out, walk yourself back out into forearm plank if that's what you're doing. And then lower all the way back onto the belly. Uncurl the toes, lift the heart. Inhale in Sphinx. And exhale, curl the chin into the chest, slightly lifting the low belly away from the mat, maybe a little bit. Twice more like that, just that cat and cow-like movement in the upper back. Good. Palms walk underneath the shoulders, press up, down dog. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Settle in here for 3. Last 2. Last 1. Inhale, lift your right leg up and back. Bend your right knee, point it towards the ceiling. You're opening that right hip on top of the left hip. Now, reach your right thigh back down towards the mat and then cross the right leg on top of the left thigh. So it's like you're sitting cross-legged in a chair like we did on our backs when we started, only this time we're in this downward facing dog. Let's move in and out of that shape. So unwind the right leg, lift it back up, bend the knee, open the hip. This is confusing. Just watch me a time or two. And then we'll wrap that right thigh around the left thigh. Give yourself a little squeeze there. Inhale, unwind, reach the right leg high, bend the knee. One more time to wrap the right thigh on top of the left thigh. Shift forward, soft landing on your knees with the right thigh in front of the left thigh, and then widen the feet apart. So you're still on your knees. You're in this, now you're in cow pose, but you're facing the floor. Gomukhasana. So we'll sink the hips back towards the mat any amount. And then pull the heart forward, back to the knees. Move in and out of this a few times. Find your own range of motion. Notice what works for your knees. You don't have to go as far as I am. One more time, pull the heart forward. Exhale, pull the hips back. Deep breath in, unwind out of this, make your way back to down dog. So unwind the legs, lift the hips up. Breathe in, breathe out. Second side, inhale, left leg lifts, bend the knee, open the hip. And then left thigh moves back towards the mat. You're going to cross that left leg over the right thigh. It's like you have eagle legs in your down dog. Inhale to unwind, left leg reaches back up. Bend the knee, open the hip. Start to explore this second side, your range of motion, moving in and out of these two shapes. Stay connected to your breath. One more time all the way through. So you're going to come back to crossing left thigh on top of right thigh. Shift forward, soften the knees to the mat. Keep that crossing of the knees. Widen your feet out to the sides any amount. On your inhale, we'll come forward into this really modified tabletop shape. And our exhale will shift back to that modified child's pose. So if this isn't working from your knees, you can actually just come into child's pose. Normal child's pose, knees, feet parallel, and rock yourself back and forth. A couple more times. Good. Exhale, hips back. Lengthen out through the back body. Inhale, pull your heart forward, unwind the legs. One more time, down dog. Just take a few breaths in your down dog to lengthen out through the back body. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more time like that. Inhale. Exhale. Shift forward, bring the knees to the mat. You might gather your block, your blanket, whatever props you have. We're going to take seated Gomukhasana now. So we've been kind of playing with that opening of the hips, the rotation of the hips, and now we'll see about doing it seated. So first you're going to bring your left foot closest to the floor, left knee closest to the floor, cross that right leg on top. So you can let this be a really easy, loose, comfortable seat. Or you can attempt to stack the right knee on top of the left knee and let the feet widen out to the side. So it can be anywhere in between an easy, comfortable seat or knees stacked. Whatever range of motion works for you. And then we'll forward fold into this a little bit. So you can just simply drop the chin into the chest. Let that be a forward fold. Let that work for you. Or if it feels okay in your body, you can walk your hands forward any amount. If you have extra props, you could rest your chest on your props, your forehead on your props. Settle into this forward fold for a few moments. 3, 2, last one. If you stretched yourself down into a forward fold, walk your hands back underneath the shoulders, lift up, unwind the legs. We'll switch out opposite side. So right knee closest to the mat now, right ankle down, crossing that left thigh, left knee on top. Let it be as loose as your hips, your knees, your ankles need. Don't force it, especially with the knees. Big breath in, grow tall. And on your exhale, forward folding any amount. Utilize any of your props here to support your forward fold. 3 deep breaths. It's always so interesting just to take a moment to pause and notice difference between right and left side. In sensation and range of motion. Last 2. Last 1. Uncurl your spine, sit up nice and tall. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And we'll take a 1-minute Shavasana. You can do that in whatever way suits your body. You can sit up nice and tall in a seated meditation. You could take legs up the wall. You can lay flat on your back or support your body in any way you'd like. Whatever you're choosing, let your shoulders draw away from your ears. Slightly tilt your chin towards your chest so that your neck is nice and long. Can you allow your eyes to close here, your back teeth to part, your tongue to widen? Relax the jaw. Let the eyes close. Deep breath in through the nose. Exhale all the air out through the mouth. Let yourself be still. If you have more time to spare in your day, please feel free to stay in Shavasana longer. If you need to move on, slowly start to bring awareness, movement to fingertips and toes. You might move your head gently right to left. If you're in a position to do so, you can sweep the arms up and overhead, breathing into the length of the body. On your exhale, bend your knees and roll off to a side in fetal position. Pressing into your hands and rising up to a very brief, comfortable seat. We'll close out our practice here. And joining your hands together at your heart. Begin to rub the palms together, right and left. Start to generate some heat, some energy, some sensation between the right and left hands. And once the hands begin to feel quite warm, take the hands, cup them over the eyes. Feel that heat sensation move into the body, re-energize the senses, the mind, the spirit. Blink the eyes open 2 times here. Keep the hands over the eyes. And then join the hands together back at the heart, bow the chin into the chest. Take a moment to honor your practice with reverence and gratitude to our teachers, past, present, future, to the teacher within your own heart. Namaste, yogis.